Hello, and welcome to 5 Minute Math. Today we are looking at the 8th grade concept of identifying functions. This is standard 8.5G in the great state of Texas, and we are using item number 33 of the 2025 released STAAR test. If you haven't done so already, please go ahead and take a moment to pause the video, work this problem out on your own, unpause it, and we will look at our answers together. All right, so we have a graph of a straight line. They're calling it a relation. The question is it a function? Because if we're looking at our answer choices here, this straight line either uh, does represent y as a function of x or does not represent y as a function of x. And then if it does represent, we need to choose y. If it does not represent, we need to choose y. So we need to know what that word function means. It's that definition that is going to be most important here. So a function is a relation where, and we can say it a few different ways, each input, and so most of the times our inputs are going to be x, has only one output. And most of the time our output is going to be y. Sometimes it might be slightly different if we're writing it in a verbal description. All right, so each x only has one y. And so I'm going to take a few points here and let's say this. I've got negative 6, 4. If I were to look at negative 6, could I find another y value that equals negative 6? No, only just that 4. That negative 4, 3. If I were to look at negative 4 and any other y value, could I find something any other than 3? No. I could do negative 2, 1, and we can ask that same question. Negative 2, 2, excuse me, and I could do 0, 1, okay? And we just kind of go on and on and on. We notice we have all of these points, and every time I find one of these points, what I cannot do is I cannot find a second y value that matches that. So that's one indication that this is a function. An easier way to do that is something called the vertical line test. And if you were to draw a vertical line anywhere on this graph, if it touches more than one point, then it is not a function. And so sometimes you'll see quadratics that are rotated 90 degrees. Sometimes you might see like a absolute value graph like this, that these are not functions because you see this vertical line touches it twice, okay? We can also use mapping, right? So if I look at my x values, and these are just, it is a continuous, but if I look at my x values, negative 6, negative 4, negative 2, 0, 2, 4, 6, you notice that it only maps to one value, the 4, the 3, 2, 1, 0, negative 1, negative 2. It's not asking us for whether or not what the slope is. Okay, so we definitely can say that it is a function. So we're going to get rid of C, and we are going to get rid of D. Now, what makes it a function? Well, we already said the definition over here. Each input has only one output. Okay, so the graph represents y as a function of x because each x value corresponds to exactly one y value. Well, yeah, that's exactly what we set up here. So that probably looks good, but let's check B. The graph represents y as a function of x because each x value corresponds to multiple. Yeah, that's the problem. If there are multiple y values, it's not a function. If each x should only have one y, it would not pass the vertical line test. So this is definitely not correct. So our answer here is going to be A. The graph represents y as a function of x because each x value corresponds to exactly one y value.